welcome to episode 4 of the Dark Arts. I am David Bates, and with me today is Warlock Dave Ingram. Dave, welcome to the show, man.
Hello, everybody. How's it all going? Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. So for the people that are not familiar with you, I know you've been in a few bands, Hail of Bullets, Benediction, Bolt Thrower, Downlord. What other bands have you been a part of?
Wow, pull up a chair. And also people who haven't heard of me, come on. I'm an internet celebrity, for God's sake, or for Satan's sake. No, let's see. Down Among the Dead Men, Echelon, Earth Sinner, Hell, Frost and Fire. That's a new one. I've just finished writing the lyrics about 2 days ago for the debut album. Troikadon, that's on hold, but it's still going to happen. There's also Just Before Dawn. That's a live band as well. We've got gigs. We've done gigs this year, just gone, and we've got gigs next year too. So obviously, as you said, Benediction, Bolt Thrower, Hail of Bullets, Downlord. There was a band called Desert Mouse that only did a demo. And there's been lots of other little side projects here and there and all around. It's a fun life. It really is. And I remember I was 7 years old and I first heard the riff to Black Sabbath's Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, that first riff that starts the song. And it was one of those crystallization moments. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life, and I'm doing it. So I'm, as we say in England, I'm bloody chuffed.
So growing up, vocally, what were some of your influences? Because, I mean, you're obviously a death metal vocalist. And when you started doing it, it really wasn't too much death metal. Like it was sort of underground. So what were influences for you?
Well, vocally, I would have to say Tom G. Warrior from Celtic Frost. But the biggest influence was Cam Lee, and he's like a hero of mine, and he and I have become very close friends online, and I have met the guy as well. So that's pretty special for me, having that friendship with him, because he influenced pretty much my vocal style. There was also, let's see, Venom, listening to Venom, and not so much the actual sound, but the way they put hooks in the song. I love that, and I try to do that myself, because if you write a song and it's boring, people are going to think about pizza and beer and stuff instead of listening to the song. You got to.
Unfortunately, people have very short attention spans, so it's like you got to really get them.
Today, it's even worse today. 15 seconds of fame, right now instead of 15 minutes. Thank you, Andy Warhol. But the other influences, lyrically, not so much vocally, I would say, is the Baron from Amoebics. Maybe a little vocally there as well, but also Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull, or Steve Ignorance from Crass. Things like those guys. I come also from a punk background after getting through the heavy metal thing and all the Iron Maiden stuff that I did as a youth. I went into the punk side, and I think that was because the first single I ever bought was the Tommy Gun by The Clash. That was the very first single I ever bought. I can't remember how old I was, but I remember having a copy. I probably still have it somewhere. But yeah, I bought that, and it sort of started the punk side to me. And then later on, I rebelled and got into Discharge and punk bands in general. And also, I had like horrible dreadlocks, and all right, I was an idiot, right? So, but that sort of changed. Late 80s changed, went back to the heavy thrash feel, when that began, and that's where it went on to death metal. So it was a good progression for me. I enjoyed all of it. Still am. Definitely do.
How do you feel about death metal in its current state right now?
Well, I'm a mega fan of old school because I am old school. And I think today's death metal, there's a huge difference between bands. Some of them are, yeah, I don't know. It's almost, it verges on emo, and it just doesn't cut the mustard for me. But then there are a lot of bands and labels who dedicate themselves to the old school style, and that I applaud, and I will throw myself into wholeheartedly. And I
Yeah, I feel
prefer
like death
doing the
metal has
underground
definitely
feel
become
to
more
things.
mainstream. I
Yeah,
definitely think
that's it.
that.
I mean, I'm, I'm not dismissing my time in bands such as Bolt Thrower, for example, because they
Mhm.
were quite mainstream. They were big, but the underground roots that they came from and that they kept, their integrity, they kept the whole way through their career. Um, that was something that would stick with me. And right now, we're doing with Just Before Dawn. We're playing these smaller festivals, and we're doing like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and it's not sort of all glitz and glam. It's underground, you know.
Mhm.
It's like, don't bring us a change of clothes because you can't take a bag on the plane. You know, when you go to the festival, stuff like that. You know, which is cool. I don't mind that. I like to slum it now and again.
I think it's so weird, like for me, because like when I first started noticing shit to start blowing up was like when I would walk into like a Best Buy and see like Cannibal Corpse sitting on the fucking shelf or Children of Bodom or something. I'm just like, that's a thing now. It just sort of
Hmm.
floored me to see like mainstream or like a Walmart carrying like some progressively heavy bands.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's more down to the marketing by the labels than the actual bands themselves and the fans. Um, they need to sell stuff, and at the dawn of the internet, everything changed. Things changed so much now. I don't even think many bands get an advance to record an album because record labels know they can do it at home.
Yeah.
Like the laptop I'm speaking to you with right now, that I'm using right now, is the one I used to record all my vocals with. In fact, it's the
Oh
same
wow.
equipment, everything that I'm using right now, except this guy. But yeah, it's all the same stuff. So it's so easy, and it's every album I've released since 2013 has been done on this here. So yeah,
Wow.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
understand
I
why
look at
bands
how.
need such huge advances. They don't, not in this day and age.
Yeah, there are a lot of these kids that are in these bands now. They don't like. I don't think they really appreciate or understand how rough it was, like in the '90s or even like the early thousands, of how even before a little bit before MySpace and that, like you'd have to go to the venues and whatnot, put the flyers up, or go to like I would be at like Kinko's at 2 in the fucking morning making band flyers and just like having to actually put the extra, elbow grease into the whole production of it. Now it's like
Yeah.
you get Photoshop and post it and friend Facebook invites and all this. I'm like, it's so different now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like we were discussing just before we started recording, we were saying about technology, and I said I remember the day when there was none of this, and you had to go out and ride your bike. You had to, as a kid, when you wanted to entertain yourself, um, and there was when I was the early days of Benediction. In fact, most of my time in Benediction, the 8 years I was with them, there was no internet. There was no easy way to promote the band. You had to work for it. You had to do it yourself. Um, and obviously, back then, the labels helped. Now, they don't do as much um, because you can do it yourself. You can do it all yourself. You could release it yourself. You can
Yeah.
actually have places print to order CDs. So you don't have to, buy from a distributor 500 copies of one CD and sell them all. Now you can just have people that will produce one at a time to order. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
A company we go through, there's no minimum. So if you want to order 5 CDs, you can order 5 CDs. You can order 20. Well, I remember back in the day, like it's like you go through some of these places like 1,000 CD minimum. That's it, and it's like holy shit, can we even sell 1,000? Is that even possible? And
Mm.
And now,
Yeah.
like, there's some websites that, like, that you go through. Like, my band goes through DistroKid. You get on there for like $20. They put you on everything. They put you on iTunes. What did they put you on? iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Like, they do, like, now it's like, do you really need a label? I mean,
That's just it. That is just it. I mean, the label I'm pretty much connected to with, hang on, two bands. Two bands? Two bands. Yeah. Down Among the Dead Men, Echelon, and Earth Sinner. Three bands. Is Transcending Obscurity Records. They're from India. They're just branching out into Europe and in America as well now. They've got the web shops sorted out over there, and sort of, you know, bricks and mortar buildings going on as well. But when on those three bands I mentioned, the first releases, I think there was between 300 and 500 hard copies released, and that was it. The rest of it is all downloads, and that's the way of the world today. Like, not everybody wants a hard copy of a CD, and rather than print, 20,000 copies of a CD, you're only going to sell 1,000. The rest are going to end up in the bargain bins at Kmart or something. Why
yeah.
bother? And that's the great way of doing it. And the guy who runs the label, he's so nice. I keep telling him, will you try and harden up, you ass? Like, you're just giving all your stuff away. But he's a good businessman. He knows what he's doing. Kunal Choksi, his name is, and he is excellent. They're a great label, and they've just signed Master. They've got an album coming out, or it's actually out by now, I think. The new Master album, and that's a
right.
killer album.
Their Master is actually based out of my hometown, Chicago.
Okay, I used to live in Chicago.
Did you?
Yeah, for several months. It wasn't
Wow.
a long-term thing, but yeah, I was there for a long time. I nearly moved there permanently as well, but then the offer of joining Benediction came up, so I got that.
Yeah, I get, like, my one friend, he always gives me, he's the guy, Jason, who he helps edit this show. He always gives me shit because, like, I always buy the hard copy of, like, DVDs, CDs, because I'm a fan of the artwork and stuff, and with like the digital stuff, it's like you don't get to, like I got fucking Iron Maiden's, Brave New World. And, like, to me, it was always, like, the joy of, like, opening up and be like, oh, wow, look at the inside artwork. Oh, this is so cool. And now it's like, I don't think the kids, the younger generation doesn't realize the fun of that,
Yeah, I hear you on that. But yeah, there are certain bands that I will always buy hard copies of things, but for the most, I'm Mr. Digital these days. Do you know the stand-up comedian who's passed away, George Carlin?
Yes.
Yeah, he does this bit called his stuff. He's got enough stuff. He doesn't want to have to collect any more stuff. That's me. I don't want to collect any more stuff. When I get bands write to me, hey, we'll send you a CD. It's like, no. Digital, please. Because and also the CDs that I get sent, they're in my room, just over there, my sort of little office, come library, come Doctor Who exhibition. There's a pile of CDs from bands that sent stuff through that are just covered in dust. I've never gotten around to loading them onto the computer, because that's the only way I listen to stuff, is via my computer or my iPod. That's it. So, sorry guys for sending. You wasted your money. I did warn them. So. By the way, just to say, gotta ask, Chicago. Do you know Aranda's Mexican restaurant on Belmont?
It sounds so fucking familiar. Because I'm not far from Belmont, actually. I'm really not. It's like right down the way from me.
Oh, cool. Well, if you ever get to go, it's the best burritos in the world. The refried bean burritos that I had there back in 1989 were the best I've ever bloody tasted. So check it out if you can, mate. I swear, it's the greatest food ever.
I'll have to check that out. I love me and my wife. My wife is Mexican, so I married right, because she always makes me homemade Mexican food, and like Perfect. We always go to like. Oh, dude. Right, yeah. I love Mexican food. I like Mexican food as well. So what do you like? What are your thoughts on music in general, like as opposed to like the States to like say Europe, where you're at? Like how do you feel about that?
Well, it's not so much the difference between the two continents, because there's differences in the countries in Europe. You know, you can listen to German metal, listen to something from Denmark, and I can tell the difference, and I can listen to it and go, well, that sounds so Danish. And I can listen to something from Sweden, and even in Sweden itself, you've got the Gothenburg sound or the Stockholm
Mm.
sound. Like just before dawn, they're from the Stockholm area, so they have that Stockholm sound. So to me, it's all just different anyway.
Mm.
I think there would probably be a difference between, let's see, bands from Florida, to which Cannibal Corpse, aren't they from Florida?
Yeah, like from Florida, like Cannibal Corpse. I think Morbid Angel was from
Yeah.
Florida. I
And
think
then you hear the bands.
Obituary.
That's right, yeah. And you got the bands who are from California, and you have the Morris sound to them. I think I'm old, I can't quite remember. But anyway, there's the differences there. Then you have, for example, Immolation from New York, from Yonkers, actually, in New York. And yeah, that's the thing. I can hear the differences in the music from the different
Mhm.
areas. It's the same as over here in Europe. So to me, it's all just one big bag of bollocks. Yeah, it works. It works, and I love the variety in the music. What are you drinking there?
Tea and rum. I
Hey,
like my
it
rum.
works for you. It works for you. Yeah.
I don't
I
really
got the
drink
old
pop,
Iron
so I,
Maiden
I
ale on the
drink
go.
I drink tea instead with my rum or with my whiskey. Like I try not to drink pop or soda at all anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure Christopher Lee will be chuffed about this one. So
Do you feel Europe appreciates metal more than say the States?
I think it's appreciated in a different way. Uh, you go to places like Germany, and they are gung ho about music, about metal. Um, you can come to Copenhagen, to Denmark rather, and they can be quite laid back, nonchalant, not really pretending, not really caring, but pretending that they don't get, but yeah, uh,
It just blows my mind when I see like some bands that are out in Europe and they're playing to like, 40, 50, 60, 70,000 people and they come over here by us and they can barely sell out, 10,000 if that. Like it's just mind-blowing to me like
it was the same years ago when Machine Head, with their first album, they would come to Europe, they would do these massive festivals, 20, 30,000 people. And then in America, they were sort of opening band for Napalm Death or something. I'm not disparaging Napalm Death. I'm just saying, to go from festival headliners to opening band just by a matter of, 4,000 miles, weird. But there is the difference in stuff like that. There were so many bands that were huge in the States that were hardly, they wouldn't sell out a toilet in Europe.
hmm.
I won't say who, because I don't want to be disparaging to them. It's not what I'm here for, but it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Mm.
because we've been told like a bunch of different times from my band like you definitely like look towards Europe. Like we've had a couple different people tell us like look at Europe, and I'm like, okay, because like out in the States like metal like I don't know, it's really weird here. Like trying to like get any type of attention or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's really odd.
Yeah. Well, nowadays things have changed for America, for European bands getting in there. Um, there's two ways of doing it: pay an exorbitant amount of money to get in per person, which means you've got to go out on a tour, you've got to make money, even just to break even. Or lie, cheat, go into the country on a visitor's visa and say, I'm not here to work, I'm just here for a vacation, blah, blah, blah. And get caught and maybe get kicked out and not allowed back for, you know, a period of time. I don't know if it's worth it. I wouldn't want to get booted out of America for lying. I wouldn't want to break the law, to be quite honest. The bands I'm in, we couldn't afford to do that. I think it's about $5,000 per person. Come over to get all the right visas and things.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like for us to try to get over to you guys in Europe, I'm sitting there thinking, man, that's a lot of fucking money. Just to try and get everything out there, and then you got to figure out if you're going to be able to bring all your gear, and if you can't, okay, I'm going to have to go get a back line out in Europe, and like.
Yeah. It sucks. It really does.
It really does. The people there's a lot of, for people think that it's all sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'm sorry to break this to you. It's really not.
Exactly. Yeah, it's it's not like that. It is not like that. Maybe when it was in the early 70s or something, but nowadays
70s and 80s, yeah.
Yeah, and the 80s as well. But
80s, the age of excess. But damn. Now a lot of the good 90% of these bands are either not around or they're broke as fuck.
Yeah. That's when you see bands who are doing these meet and greets and they charge $200 for you to spend 3 minutes in their time and have a photograph. Again, that's the internet. The internet's done that. So bands will only earn money from touring or from merchandise. They don't get any royalties and probably don't get any, like I said earlier, advances for recording. So they have to do something. And if they want that rock and roll lifestyle, then sure, charge $200 for a signature and a photograph and beg of the hand.
Pretty much.
If you're a big enough fan of whichever band it is, then they'll pay that.
Oh yeah,
they will pay that. So,
we've been approached by some independent labels before, and the weird it's weird because they're like they want us to pay them to do stuff. Like it's like, all right, we'll sign you and this and that. So what our fee is like $5,000 up front, and we're just like, wait, we got to pay you to be on the label?
Yeah.
And I've been seeing a lot of that, that's a new trend I've been seeing a lot of these independent labels charging the bands. Like they're not doing the advances like you said. There's really no more advances. It's the labels themselves asking, okay, you pay us the $5,000 and we'll do this. And it's like, okay, well, give them the $5,000. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to do for us? Well, we're going to do this and this. Okay, can you guarantee this? No. Oh.
Yeah. Wow, I've not heard that before. So that's a new one on me. Okay.
Yeah, we've had a couple of issues of labels like that trying to sign us and whatnot and charge us fees and this and that and like we're gonna do this and that. It's like it's basically all the risk is on the bands now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. But the label's not even gonna invest something in them.
Nope.
That's weird. That's so weird.
And obviously we've said, nah, we're good. Thank you.
Okay. What sort of style is it that you do, your music?
I'm a singer for a horror metal band. So think like a Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie style, but like heavier.
Cool. Excellent. I'd really like to hear some.
We do a lot of theatrics and stupid human tricks, and my wife is a sideshow performer. I perform with her, and we do like fire and grinder and stuff like that. And
yes,
oh man! Like I said, stupid human tricks. That's what we like to do.
Yeah, but it works. Right, it works. You need sort of the stage show. For example, just before dawn, it's 5 guys, long hair. Well, not all of us with long hair. Some of them are bald, but cut off. Denim, waistcoats and patches, and and we're just sort of stomping around stage, playing the guitars, blah blah blah, singing. I'm limping because I'm ill and getting old and need surgery. And yeah, you need something else sometimes, not just guys on stage playing guitars and singing. So having the like the sideshow stuff, brilliant.
Thank you. So what are your current projects you got going on right now? Like what are you working currently on?
Oh Christ. Yeah. Let's see. Down Among the Dead Men have just released the third album. I say just, it's about 2-3 months ago. So there's that, which is now, it's been released. So we're sort of leaving that for a while because there's other things we've got to do. I've just written the lyrics for the Hell, Frost and Fire album, and it's something totally different for me. I tried to do a concept album with this. Didn't know if it would work. The lyrics have. I've just got to try and make the songs join together with musically. But we've got a guy coming in to do mixing for us, who's a friend of mine. I can't say who yet, but I will eventually. But I'm hoping he can help us with the sort of the segues into different songs. So I've just finished that. There's
You
the
can't say now,
Troika
spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. There's the Troika album that was with myself, Cam Lee, and Carl Willits on vocals. Obviously with Troy meaning three, so with 3 vocalists. I've got some medical issues I've got to get through within the next couple of months. And also Cam has got some personal problems he's going on. He's dealing with those. So we've put that on hold for the time being. There's nothing we can do about it. We've just got to. But the thing is with my medical issue, I'm having a new hip, basically, at some point. That's all it is. It's nothing major. But when in my downtime, I'll get to write. So I'll get to do a lot of creativity, and I won't have to go out to work. I can sit at home and do all the writing that I need to do. So I'll get all that written. So it'll be ready for when Cam's ready, and we can forge on with that. There's a band called Echelon. My lyrics are all about Satanism. And we're going to do a third album, probably the end of next year. We're leaving it a while because it's with Roger Johansson, and he has about 85 bloody bands that he's in. So he's very busy. Let's see, Just Before Dawn. That's right. Yeah, we've got some live shows next year, and we're writing a new album right now. In fact, I've got a song to write. To record on Monday for them, as well as 2 songs by Ursina. Here's a scoop for you. The band Ursina, we're doing a new album. We're doing a double disc album. Disc 1 will be original material. Disc 2 will be 9, maybe 10, maybe 11 cover versions. But for Christmas, we're doing a Christmas single. I won't say which songs, but we're doing 2 very well-known rock songs, as it were, for Christmas. And all the money is going to go to a dog shelter.
Oh, that's awesome.
It'll be a sort of digital pay what you think he's worth, and all money goes to an animal shelter. Mainly because the people who own the rights to the songs that we're doing would sue our asses off if we try and make money from it. So we're giving the money to charity. Which thing is, we would have done anyway, right? Because dogs are for life, not just for Christmas. Remember that, people. But yeah. So what else? There's another project that I've been invited to do, but I can't talk about it yet because it's got to be confirmed. But it's really, really busy times ahead. Sometimes I wonder, have I bitten off more than I can chew? But I like being busy. But this with the operation on the new hip and everything, and that sort of threw me for 6. That really took me back because it's like, ooh, I'm going to have downtime, and I've got to have the operation now or within the next couple of weeks because of the gigs next year with Just Before Dawn, like in April is the first one, the 6th of April, 5th of April is the first gig in Birmingham, England. So
wow.
I have to be ready, or at least well enough to walk on stage, even if I have to use a cane or something. I don't care. But you know, I've got, as long as I can stand up, I'll be able to do it.
Just prop you up on a wheel cart or something.
Yeah, exactly. Some beer crates, that'll be fine. Yeah.
Now, I know we did say it is expensive, but any chance of coming to the States?
For Just Before Dawn.
Or any of the bands? Like
Um,
any desire to come to the States to actually, I know, like I said, we did talk, it is expensive and stuff, but is there any maybe long-term goal to maybe come out here?
Long-term goals, yes. With other bands, not with Just Before Dawn. There's one of the members has stated he does not want to come to the States because of the hassle it would be. And he's in a sort of a sensitive position with his job, and he doesn't want to get kicked out of America for not doing it the right way, which is the only way that he could do it, really. So I understand. So Just Before Dawn, no, not unless we're offered like this much money, which we're never going to get. So no. But with other bands, maybe. Who knows? Because this thing with Troikadon in the future, this could it could do something. We just don't know. We're well, we're going to work at it, because if you don't work at something, you'll get bugger all out of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
It goes back to what we're saying. A lot of the bands, these bands nowadays, like they think, they start and they get signed and, they get money thrown. It's like the amount of work and the strain on your sanity can be sometimes just intense.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Sorry about that.
Oh, don't worry. For a second, I thought the Dalek was behind you. Now I see it's in front of you. Okay.
Yeah. Oh no. He's right here. See, there he is. The one I have, the gold one, is called Rusty. This one's called Dusty because I haven't dusted him for a very long time. So, oh dear. I just noticed that, and it's kind of embarrassing. I hope you can't see it there at home, folks.
No, you can't see it.
Okay, cool.
Well, Dave, it was amazing having you on the show today.
Oh,
we're gonna play a music video real quick, and then it was awesome having you on the show, man. I appreciate it. It was really cool. I can't wait to. I hope you guys come out here. Fucking, we'll play some fucking. I'll come out and we'll play some shows, man. I'd be down for that.
Fuck, man, that would be awesome. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? Anything could happen. I mean, yeah, we could all become rich and just afford to just put on a show together anyway. Yeah, anything can happen. But thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And anytime you want me back on, let's do it.
Hell yeah. So, where can we find your music at? What's the best websites to find any of your bands, any of your music? Like, plug away, sir.
Oh, crow, blimey. Best thing to do is to go to Facebook and search on the band names themselves. Down Among the Dead Men, Echelon, Earth Sinner, Hellfrost and Fire, though that's not on Facebook just yet. Troikadon, Just Before Dawn, and also on YouTube you can find Just Before Dawn, especially live videos from our shows this year rather, just gone. There's plenty of stuff out there, and you can also find stuff I did with Bolt Thrower and Benediction on YouTube as well. So knock yourselves out. I mean, if you really want an Ingram overdose, and trust me, you don't, then the internet is your friend.
Just don't go on certain other sites, though. No, yeah.
Yeah. There's certain places not to go. Right. Pornhub. You're never going to get any of our videos on there. So.
Well, Dave, it was awesome having you on the show.
Oh,
and we will definitely be talking with you soon. Hail Satan, my friend.
Hail Satan, mate.